Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about all of the matchups to watch for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 9 matchup versus the New Orleans Saints. This is a big matchup, probably the biggest matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers so far to date, and we're going to be talking about it today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. We're going to be talking about this all leading up to game day, how big this matchup is and the reasons as to why it is such a big matchup. But in this video, as I said, we are going to be breaking it down firstly by talking about the key matchups to keep an eye on. So the first matchup that we should all keep our eyes on as Bucs fans is going to be Carlton Davis versus Michael Thomas. Now, Michael Thomas has not played a game since Week 1 versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he was held to 3 catches for 17 yards. So Carlton Davis did a really good job containing Michael Thomas in that game. And if you're going to say that Michael Thomas left the game early because of an injury, yes, he did leave the game early because of an injury, but it was very, very late in the game, and it really did not have an overall impact on his stat line for set game. And that really started what has been so far a phenomenal year for Carlton Davis in terms of coverage ability and just great overall gameplay. I don't know if you guys know this, but right now as it stands, Carlton Davis does lead the NFL in passes deflected or passes defended with 14, and he is also tied for the lead in the NFL in interceptions with 4. And out of the other 3 guys that he is tied with, Xavier Howard, J.C. Jackson, I believe, of the New England Patriots, as well as there's another cornerback who I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but out of those 4 cornerbacks, Carlton Davis has the most tackles out of all 4 of them with 33 tackles on the season. So he has been absolutely everywhere, doing absolutely everything that you expect out of a top-tier cornerback in the NFL. He is playing so freaking good this year. Now, Michael Thomas has been dealing with some nagging injuries. He had that ankle injury that he sustained in the Buccaneers game. Then after that, he had gotten suspended for punching a teammate, lol. And then after that, he had suffered a hamstring issue that he has been dealing with since then. So overall, Michael Thomas has had one heck of a 2020 season that has been full of a lot of downs, and he hasn't had a chance to show much of his ups yet in terms of what he can do this season. And when Michael Thomas is on and he's fully healthy, he is one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. So this is going to be a challenge for Carlton Davis if Michael Thomas can play. It is going to be one heck of a matchup and arguably the most important matchup in the entire game, in my opinion, because if you can take Carlton Davis away from this Saints offense, that really does hamper them a pretty decent amount overall to what they can do, besides giving the ball to guys like Alvin Kamara and Jared Cook. So that is 100% going to be a matchup to watch. Next is, speaking of the guy, Alvin Kamara versus the entirety of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, because he's absolutely everywhere. Now, as it stands, Alvin Kamara has basically been most of the Saints offense. He has 66 targets on the year, 50-something catches, over 600 receiving yards, and he's been a force in the run game as well. He has been great, which is why it is pretty much up to the entirety of the Buccaneers defense to try and contain Alvin Kamara. He's one of the best running backs in the entire NFL, and in Week 1, the Buccaneers defense, I thought, did a pretty decent job of stopping Kamara and limiting him in terms of what he could do both as a runner and as a receiving back as well, and they're going to have that task yet again. It's not going to be an easy task. Everybody is going to have to chip in and help. Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Levante David, Devin White, Antoine Winfield Jr., Mike Edwards, Jordan Whitehead, even down on the defensive line, guys like Steve McLendon, Nacho, Ndamukong Suh, Will Golston, if he does play in this game. These are all guys who at every single level are going to have to help account for Alvin Kamara, because he can be absolutely everywhere and do so many different things for an offense. He is a pain in the butt to stop. Point blank, period. I would say that Alvin Kamara may be the most frustrating running back to stop in the NFL. I really do believe that, especially whenever you pair up his quarterback who is throwing him the ball. It gets really frustrating. So Alvin Kamara should be probably priority 1A for the Buccaneers defense, and then Michael Thomas should be priority 1B. That is the way I see things. But The third matchup I want to pay attention to is, speaking of the Saints quarterback, it's going to be Drew Brees versus Tom Brady, two Hall of Fame quarterbacks going head-to-head with each other. Tom Brady being the best quarterback of all time in the NFL. Drew Brees really being up there in the top 5. I think that is a solid argument, maybe even top 3 if you want to say it's, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, and maybe Drew at number 4, something along those lines. That's how I would see it, man. Drew Brees is a phenomenal quarterback, and he's been playing a pretty okay year. The biggest thing whenever I look at Drew Brees' games so far this year is that his passes have not had to travel a lot through the air. I believe his passes are traveling 5.5 yards an attempt, which is not a lot. Just for comparison's sake, I believe Tom Brady's is at an 8.9 or an 8.7. So Drew Brees is throwing a lot of shorter routes, a lot of underneath stuff, and a lot of passes to Alvin Kamara, obviously. So overall, this is just going to be a fun one to watch. It was fun in week 1 until the Buccaneers just absolutely ruined their chances of winning that game, and this should be fun again, especially now that Tom Brady is more accustomed to this offense and he is getting more into a groove, and the Saints are getting back to full power as well. So this is just a juggernaut type battle of just, a kaiju battle. It's Godzilla versus King Kong, basically. It's just two behemoths just smashing into each other, and just, it's a lot of fun. It really is. So two Hall of Fame quarterbacks going head-to-head against each other. I like it. And this will be their second time, and, they may have a third time in the playoffs somewhere down the line. We'll talk about that later in the week. But, yeah, that's just fun stuff. The fourth matchup I want to pay attention to is going to be Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin versus the Saints secondary. Now, I follow a couple of Saints fans on social media. Shout out to my friend Nos, who is a Saints YouTuber on here. And he talked about how, really the Saints secondary has not been doing the best this year. And I think a lot of Saints fans would agree with that comment, as to say that, the Saints secondary could be doing a lot better this year. Marcus Williams has been having a rough year among some of those other guys in that secondary unit. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are getting Mike Evans, who hopefully is a little bit healthier now. He's coming off of a 55-yard touchdown game versus the Buccaneers' most recent opponent. Chris Godwin, he's coming off of a fractured finger, and then Antonio Brown is coming off of a suspension. So I expect Antonio Brown to be ready to go. Mike Evans should be ready to go as well. They played the Giants, by the way. Just completely forgot about that for a split second. And, Chris Godwin should hopefully be around 80-ish type % with his broken finger. So we'll have to see how that goes. But this is going to be absolutely insane. I mean, having Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, and Chris Godwin on the same field at the same time, if all three of them are able to play in this game together, versus this Saints secondary. I mean, I don't care who you are. I would not want to face these three at one point on the same field. One of these guys on a team is dangerous by themselves, but when you take all three of them and put them all together, you have an absolute insane level of ability in that wide receiver room. So let's see what happens. Can the Saints secondary kind of rebound from their up and down year they've had this year, or are they going to continue to struggle? And against these guys, you would figure they may struggle in a big way. That's going to be something to pay attention to. So let's keep an eye on that. Finally, the last thing I want to mention here is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line versus this New Orleans Saints defensive line. And week 1 was terrible for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line. Cameron Jordan, Trey Hendrickson, among some of the other Saints backup pass rushers, made absolute fools of guys like Donovan Smith and even Alex Kappa a little bit as well, but mainly Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith struggled so bad in week 1 against guys like Trey Hendrickson and some of the other Saints backup pass rushers as well. That cannot happen again, especially now that we're into week 9 of the year. They've had a whole first half of the year for Tom Brady to get adjusted, get comfortable with his offensive line, and really tell them what he likes from them and what he expects them to do. There should be no excuses this time. This team needs to perform on the offensive line, and so far they've been playing pretty good the past couple of games. Against the Giants, they did struggle on maybe 1 or 2 plays, but overall I thought they played a pretty decent game. Same thing could be said with the Raiders and the Packers. Now, in terms of overall, pass protection and things like that, they've been good. In terms of overall penalties, they've been better. They've been, blowing expectations out of the water. Now, I don't know if that is going to continue versus the Saints, because the Saints have a phenomenal passing rush, including Cam Jordan, among others. So we'll have to see how it holds up now. But I really want to see this run blocking improve from this Buccaneers offensive line. They have struggled the past couple of weeks against teams like the Raiders and the Giants especially. We need to see that improve so we can get a more balanced offensive attack versus the Saints, because if that doesn't happen, that really does dampen your chances there of beating the Saints if you become too one-dimensional. So I want this offensive line to play good all around against a very, very solid Saints defensive line. In my opinion, one of the better defensive lines in the entire NFL. This Bucs offensive line does not have room to make mistakes. Not like week 1. We cannot see that again, otherwise the Bucs will lose in the same exact fashion, in my opinion. So overall, guys, that is really it for all of the matchups that I have listed here. What do you guys think about these matchups? What are your expectations? And what are some of the other matchups that you guys are going to be keeping an eye on? Give me your thoughts. But guys, anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Now, we'll see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.